Hey, hello to all, and thank you for connecting with us. I am today with Judy, a good friend that we have been really learning from each other for a while now. This has been a very good journey to be learning from you, Judy, and how we are like creating new stuff together. So this is great. Thank you for being with me today.
Well, thank you for having me, Alejandro. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I know that we are going to be talking about this how your systems can improve your business, and I am
Mhm.
a really a person that really believes that it's important to any business that wants to scale. Sometimes we don't understand why that is important, but first I would love to understand from your side who is Judy and why you are so in love with this topic and helping people with this.
Well, who is Judy? That's always the really good question, Alejandro. Judy is outside of, well, let's just start with the business side because that's probably what people want to hear. But Judy is a 30-year veteran of entrepreneurism. I've had my business for 30 years, the Center for Strategic Change. Now, that's not the only thing or part of who I am. Outside of that business, I am what I'm going to call an ordinary, and probably that's an odd word for people to hear. I'm an ordinary person who grew up in a family that didn't have any business owners. Everyone in my family was basically trained to be an employee, and nobody owned a business. So I didn't have, I'm going to say, role models that were directly related and easy for me to observe. The bug did bite me for entrepreneurism, though, when I was an employee. And I began to get exposed to people who were entrepreneurs, business owners, and it started to get the gears going that, I did excel at building other people's organizations. And at one point, while that gear was going, the thought crossed my head that, if I can build other people's organizations, I most likely can build one for myself. And I didn't take the step immediately. I continued being an employee until the opportunity came along. And I just took that leap of faith because that's what we all do when we start businesses. It's a leap of faith. Took the leap of faith and said, okay, what do I love doing? Who do I want to serve? And why do I want to do this? And that's the piece today that's so important because you did ask me why are systems important to me to want to talk about and why would I want to do this and share that information with other people.
And I have a question because this is something that has happened to me, and today, even today, I was sharing in another group something that, for example, I know that when you have a passion
Mhm.
and you start to create your business because of the passion that you have, and it can be a passion, it can be your purpose, name it as you wish, but suddenly you are so in love with your business and what you are creating that you focus only on the technical skills of that passion. So I want to know if that happened to you when you started to create your own business, because some one thing is when you are an employee and you are helping businesses. I did the same. I help businesses in more than 13 countries. But when I moved to start to work on my passion, I forgot about all the business skills and the marketing and all the things. Like I didn't really thought that that was that important, even when I was doing that in the past. But as an entrepreneur, I started to focus so much in my passion and the technical skills and to become the best person that I can in this area, that suddenly 6 months later, 8 months later, I was like, okay, and where is my business? I don't have any customer here. What is happening? I was thinking that becoming the best one in this area, I will have people with me, and I didn't have them. So how that process happened to you?
Well, you just bring up such an interesting question topic because it goes down many paths. So when I started my business 30 years ago, my passion really was in the area of strategy. And strategy has been, I'm going to say, the underlying focus topic of my business for the last 30 years. And so I worked with individuals and with organizations, so CEOs, boards of directors, to help them figure out their strategy for where they wanted to take their business in, let's say, the next 3, 5, and way back when it was 10 years. And so strategy has always been my main focus. But over the 30 years, as we worked on strategic planning, one of the steps in strategic planning is once you figure out your strategy is to develop your detailed set of action plans. And I started seeing that when people start developing the detailed set of action plans, one of the common, I'm going to say, elements throughout the strategic action planning phase is systems. They either needed to develop systems or they needed to continue to refine systems. And so I want to take that little thought right there and just set that aside. So that's how I got to this topic today of systems.
Mm,
But Alejandro, before we dig into systems, I want to just go back to a piece that you mentioned about following your passion and how it can cause you to lose sight of other things either needed in your business or needed in your life.
mm,
Because those of us who are I'm going to say have the opportunity to follow a passion, we become very passionate about that passion and we become very singular focused. And think of this as a continuum. So we have this passion that we're working on, and we tend to be like at this extreme end when we're building the business and getting ourselves out there initially. And we can become so solo focused that the other parts of our business that we need to have in place to be successful with this passion, we aren't paying attention to, or we may not even be aware of. So there's these pieces in our business that get overlooked or neglected. And that's not where that passion stops. That also happens in other areas of our life outside of our business, because we can be so passionate about what it is we do that we lose sight of things in our personal life that we need to also pay attention to so that we can be not only a well balanced person, but we can be serving the people that are part of our life. So, passion is good, but we need to also be aware of the other pieces in a business besides passion and the other pieces in our life besides our business. So, I
yeah.
probably just complicated your
No, no,
audience.
I really love it. And for me, this is a very important topic because I am a systems engineer, for example, that
Mhm.
starting to understand about systems. But I also has had the problem of, okay, being in love with my passion and the thing that I am creating, that suddenly I forgot about how to create a system. So
Yes.
let's start to talk a little bit about this part of systems, why they are important, and we can be talking about a little bit of how to connect that idea that you have, that passion that you have, that technical skills that you already have, how to create a system that can help you to continue creating a business and focusing more in the passion that you have.
Right. Okay. So let's think about it. First of all, like let's define what a system is so that people can understand what page we're actually on. Okay. So a system, just to make this really easy to understand, because there's so much theory around all of this, and I don't want to be theoretical. I want this to be just simple to understand so that you can actually take some things away from this and put it in action. So think about a system as a group of processes or procedures that you go through when you want to get something done in your business
Mm.
or actually even in your life. It's the same thing. They're parallel structures. So it can be let's take an example of something really, I'm going to say, simple. let's take an example of what could be a system. So think back, if you already have a business, think back to when you first started to think about launching your business. You either had to have an idea, and that idea you probably continued to develop to where you decided to either offer a product or a service. Okay, so you've got your concept, but then you had to take steps to turn that into reality. So let's let's narrow this down to a product development system. So let's all just think about the fact that if we had decided we were going to launch a business that offered a concrete product to an individual, and I don't mean a concrete brick, but a product, well, but it could be a product that actually you needed to produce, and you had to either hand deliver it to a customer or client, or you had to ship it in that manner. So in order to get that product developed, you would have put together a whole series of procedures, processes to create the product, to develop a way to market that to the potential customer,
Mm,
to sell it, to fulfill it to the customer so they actually got the product in their hands, and then a way to do your invoicing, collect your money, and find out if the customer was really satisfied.
mm,
So, in this little tiny example, that is a system because you put all these procedures and processes together to create this whole product development system that you eventually sold. So that's the system. Now, the reason that this is so important to me and why I want to help others refine their systems is because over the 30 years of doing strategy with organizations, it's one thing to have developed a strategy and to have that vision of where you want your business to be, let's just say in 3 years for simplicity. That's just the starting point. In order to implement that strategy and achieve it,
mm,
you need to have systems.
mm,
You need to be able to move forward on whatever your key strategic initiatives are. And the way you do that is by implementing action. And action means systems. You're going to have procedures. If you think about your business right now, you probably have some procedures, you have processes that you use. And the system is merely refining those so that they are the most effective and consistent that they can be.
mm.
So that's the reason, because as a consultant to organizations in terms of strategy and strategic planning, the end result is getting them implemented and achieving what those goals are. And the way to achieve those goals are be able to implement systems and procedures to get you there. So if you have a strategy but no systems, you
And
might be partway there.
what
Yeah,
happens,
go
because
ahead.
there is a lot of people that maybe they can be like, okay, I am the strategist and I love to create strategies and that is really cool. But when you start to create, like, okay, but creating procedures or creating systems can be like somehow boring for them. So and maybe even they started the business that they started because they wanted to have fun and not be in the same thing that they were doing when they were an employee, that everything was through procedures, everything was through systems. So why people needs to be understanding that, yes, okay, you have to have the fun part, but also the systems and procedures are not something that are creating uh, like this boring part in your business.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because when I'm facilitating strategic planning, the first piece of that whole process is strategic thinking. And some people really thrive on the strategic thinking, but other people who may be part of that group that I'm working with get really anxious and nervous about it because that's not where I'm going to say that's not where their innate strength is. Their innate strength is in the detail work of building. How do we get from this step to that step, or what do we need to put into place? And it's just for business owners, especially for solopreneurs, it's just important to understand that there's two different types of thinking that goes on here. In the strategic thinking, it's much more open-ended. There's no limits, there's no barriers. When you get into the actual development of the systems, the procedures, the processes that build the system, that's where you use the more tactical thinking. And they're different. They are different types of thinking, and people have different strengths using them. And so if you have a team, this is the ideal time to look at what are the strengths of your team. You know, in my case, I'm that visionary thinker. So the strategic thinking is really where my energy and my strength is. In terms of the details of building out all the detailed action steps, that's where I need people on my team who are those tactical thinkers, who can put one step into the next step into the next step. And to make it easy is find out who's got those types of skills, and it makes your whole process much simpler.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because sometimes we are thinking that we have to be doing everything and we have to have all the hats. But really, if you are the creative person, you have to be thinking also how you are going to hire somebody or connect with somebody that can be doing the other part. Then you can really have a business.
Oh, right. And a lot of time I'm going to say in many cases, it's a difference between, there is a science of the mind that we all have an innate strength. Okay. And there's science to prove that some of us are long-term thinkers and some of us are short-term thinkers. And there's nothing wrong with either one.
Mhm.
But quite frankly, the short-term thinker really excels at putting those processes and procedures in place because they can follow and they can think about what needs to be done next, what needs to be done next, what needs to be done next. Where
Mm.
me as a long-term thinker, I'm thinking out here and I'm not really focusing on all the steps that need to happen right, up front.
So why? What are the benefits of really creating these systems and procedures? So that's because for me, that's exactly what happens always. It's like, okay, somebody tells you, okay, this diet is going to help you a lot, and you are going to improve your health, and but it's like, okay, just because you are telling me that it's going to improve my health doesn't mean that it's the right one for me. So I am the type of person that I want to understand what are the thinking behind and what are the strategies behind and what is, and suddenly like, oh yeah, of course I need to do this diet because it's going, my health is going to improve, everything, I am going to have more energy. So suddenly I understand a little bit more, and I am more willing to do it because I understand why I am doing it. So what are the benefits of having systems and procedures?
Okay, so let's think about the end result. Like you just talked about like a diet. And so that creates this image of better health, or I'm going to have change in my appearance or whatever. In our businesses, let's think about the real outcome that we want. And that outcome is you really want to have customers, clients who are satisfied, that they're happy with the level of service, or they're continuing to buy your products because they know the quality is good. So it's the customer outcome that drives the benefit of this. That's the real benefit. But along the way, as we begin to put those systems and processes in place, we're going to see benefits to me, the business owner, or to the team within the organization. And one of the benefits is putting a system or a cadre of systems together in a business saves time for everyone. Because if you just think about, I just think about so many times in my business, I have to go back and where did I put something that I need? Where's that email that has this information in it so I can do the next step? All of that takes up all these little minutes of time that if I had that system documented, I would just pull up the documentation and say, I do this. Here's the link I need to do that. This is the next step. This is the next step. This is the next step. And it saves all that going back and looking for things. And I can get things done in a shorter amount of time. So saving time is a big reason for systems, because in a business, especially for the business owner and even for all the members of your teams, time is the most precious resource. Everybody's got too much to do. So the more that we can make this time efficient, helps them be more productive. Another benefit: save times, be more productive. Efficiency, those three all work together: efficiency, productivity, saving time. Okay. But we talked about the piece at the big end result is customer satisfaction. Okay. Because we all want to have that really stellar reputation in the marketplace, that customers are just incredibly satisfied and happy with either the work we do or the products that we provide them. So another huge benefit is that systems provide consistency. So you have multiple people in your organization, they're doing the same. If they're doing a similar function, they would be following the same set of steps. So you've got consistency. So that impacts your quality in the marketplace, the quality of your product, the quality of your service. So save time, consistency. If you have employees, it can lower your labor costs, which, as we know, your labor costs are one of your biggest expenditures. So again, that's all impacted by productivity and efficiency.
I will bring the idea from Laurentino, and we continue. Automation and AI systems are the new business workforce.
I'm sorry, in the workforce, I didn't quite catch that.
Laurentino was saying automation and AI systems are the new business workforce.
Exactly. And when you think about automation, man, I just think about what I go through when I try to do automation with it, for my websites. It's, this step, that step, that step, that step. Having that all documented and available, and part of the training that you use with new employees, or if you're outsourcing with people that you're outsourcing to, helps to build that consistency, which then impacts the quality, which then impacts your reputation in the marketplace. So it's it's kind of like this domino effect. One benefit impacts another, impacts another, impacts another. So it improves customer satisfaction. We talked about that one. And overall, if I think about it from the aspect of a business owner, and this is part of the reason why I've taken on this whole systems mantle, is what I'm calling it, is it helps business owners gain peace of mind. Because what I see when I'm working with business owners and leaders in organizations is they put they have a lot of stress, and a lot of it they put on their own shoulders. And so what I want to do is remove that so that they can be even more effective than they already are, because the stress takes pieces of their energy, it takes pieces of their health, it takes pieces of their relationships. And as those pieces are bubbling, and I call it bubbling on the sidelines, it impacts their overall effectiveness, and it can have drastic results for business owners. And I don't want to go into the drastic results too much, but you spend a huge amount of your time and your resources building your business. So what I want to be able to do is help them sustain that business and position it so they're not going to possibly lose part of it or possibly all of it because of the impact of stress and broken relationships. That there's ways we can have a business and have a life. And systems are a piece of how we can do that. If you build the systems, again, it takes away some of the other piece of it. It takes away some of the conflict we see in organizations. Instead of people blaming people for something that didn't go right, in most cases, something didn't go right because the system's not working, not because the individual did
mm,
something
mm.
on purpose to make it go wrong. It's typically a system issue. And if you look at the system issue, that's, let's just call it an innate third type of, it's not a person. So blaming the system is an innate object. It's not a person. And if you remove blame from people, you're removing a majority of the conflict that happens in the workplace.
And I found something that comes to my mind when you're talking about this is also systems are going to, if you really want to grow your business and you want to scale
Mhm.
everything that you are doing, the only way to do it is by creating systems and procedures. Uh,
Exactly.
if you don't do it, of course, you have some limiting uh, growth that you can absorb, and you can be working until certain level. But
Yes.
after that, the only thing that will help you to really scale is going to be having systems and procedures. If you don't have them right now, maybe you feel that you don't need it because you are doing almost everything, or you have enough, like a couple of people that are helping you. But when if you are really thinking big, the only way to grow your business is by creating systems. If you don't do it, there is no way you are going to be scaling, because everything is going to fall apart. Everything is going to.
Right. And there's well, let's just think about it in the stages of growth. So let's just think about the big, like we're big under the big umbrella of growth right now. Okay. So at some point you've launched a business, but you haven't scaled it. So you launch the business, you start making sales, and then you decide you want to grow. So there's incremental growth before you're ready to scale. There's a difference between incremental growth, which is, let's just say, setting, oh, I'm going to increase my revenue by 5 or 10% this year. That's incremental growth. But scaling is a whole different ballgame.
Mm,
Scaling is rapid growth or exponentially larger growth. And the only way to do that, Alejandro, and you're exactly right, is by having systems in place.
mm,
And you can scale a business that has, let's call it physical, brick and mortar type businesses, and you can scale totally virtual digital businesses. But you've got to have the systems in place. And whoever brought up the automation and AI, that's exactly how you would scale a
mm.
digital business, a virtual business. So it's incredibly important to understand what are the systems you need in your business, and what are the pieces of those systems, and are those pieces working effectively?
Yes, and just because I like the topic that Laurentino brought about automation and AI, because that is something that we all entrepreneurs, at least the new ones, we are trying to implement in everything that we are doing.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it brings a good topic that I love a lot, and it's there is a lot of people that is working a lot on those areas, on the automation and AI, but they and suddenly it's like, okay, what is going to happen with ourselves like humans, and what is going to happen with our skills, and what do we need to be doing? So that's where for me comes the most interesting part, and it's something that I am doing a lot, is helping people to become more humans. And what that means is to understand what are your human skills, and you have to improve those human skills. And that is exactly what is going to help you grow your business, what is going to help you
Mhm.
improve everything. Because if you are not, you don't know what are your soft skills, badly called soft skills, uh, suddenly you are going to be away. And for example, Judy, a couple of weeks I was in a pitching event
Mhm.
where I was presenting one business idea that we have with some partners, and something that for us, we were really connecting, the four of us, the four partners, talking about what happened on that weekend. And really, all the pitching and everything was about the idea, and if they connected with us, with and believe in us as the drivers for that idea. But never ever they ask us, what are the studies that you have, how many years have you done that, what are the things, that all the engineering, all the things that we are always thinking that those are the important things, that this is my why, or this is who I am. And you start to share, oh yeah, I have an MBA, I have this, I have this, I have this. Nobody care about that. They only wanted to connect with you, with your human connection, and start to feel like, okay, yes, I feel that you are the right person, that I can invest in you, and I want to invest in you. And even the people that won, and we are having good conversations now with people, was because they felt the connection with us, not because of anything else. I know that this is off topic of what we are talking here in systems, but I want to connect it with the same idea that Laurentino was bringing about automation and AI. Yeah, that is key. That is exactly what we are talking about, systems. But don't forget about the things that you need to invest yourself as a person, because those things are the things that are going to really increase your business.
But the piece, Alejandro, and you make such a good point. The piece that gets so overlooked when people start talking systems is the human piece. And I don't mean just the HR system, because the HR system is important, but it fits right in with the series of procedures. But there is a system related to how do you present what you value about yourself? Because as a business owner, you're the leader of your organization, and you need to have real clarity. And this is what you were talking about, Alejandro, is what are those values that you espouse to, that you embrace, that you're not going to be ready to give up on when push comes to shove?
Yeah.
What are those values that guide the decisions that you make for your business and for the people that you surround yourself with in the business? And that's a system in and of itself. And I just call it the system of core values. And you have to get really, really clear on those, because that's the foundation of your business. And it's not just related, it's not just the core values that you believe yourself, it's how you demonstrate those and how those values manifest in your business. And that's all part of the system of core values.
Mhm.
And that's the really key piece. If you know your core values, then you're going to be hiring the people that are aligned. You're going to be developing the strategic alliances, like you're talking about, Alejandro, with people who have similar values, because the dissidence in values is where the conflict comes in business. You
Yes.
got to be so careful when you're picking partners, if you decide to have a partner in a
Yes.
business, in a business organization, because conflict between partners can cause that business to go out of business.
Mm.
And it can cause, certainly for disgruntled employees and unhappy customers, because it causes these ripples throughout the whole organization. So it's a system that we don't put right up there with financial and HR and marketing and sales and all those other typical type systems, but it needs to be at the top of the list, because that's where the basic decisions are made.
And I love that, because sometimes you are thinking always that systems is only like the marketing side, the commercial side,
Mhm.
but also understanding how are your values and how you are growing, and even those things can be growing in the time that you are growing. So that is amazing. And also, Laurentino, what you are saying about,
Mhm.
if even when you are a one man show, uh, you have designed and created systems that can help you expand. And of course, always we will have somebody that it's has to be seeing the systems and how to improve those systems. So uh,
So, so Laurentino, that gets into that whole body of, I'm going to say knowledge. Let's just call it that for right now, about continual process improvement, because a system, remember, is a series of procedures, processes, that are interrelated. So as you mentioned, somebody has to be in charge of overseeing those. And so if you're a solo business owner, one of the things that you need to put on your to-do list, along with all those others you've got on your to-do list, is say quarterly or semi-annually, go over your systems. Or when a system takes, has the lead importance in a part of your business, review those, because it's so easy to put a system in place, get it working, and kind of forget about it because it's working. But
And
as
that,
we all know, technology changes.
and I want to enter here, Judy, because one thing that why you exist or I exist here and why we are talking about this is sometimes you have some systems like Laurentino is saying right now, but but you created out of your consciousness and how much you know, and having somebody external to see those systems how they are working and understanding and helping you to understand how to optimize it better can help you a lot. And that's why at the end, understanding how to connect with coaches like you, like me, like us, that we are really trying to help people, and not only saying that because we want to have some money, but really trying to help people to improve in their business. And that's why I started with the why. Like, okay, why this is important for you, why it is important for me. I focus some time in only in my technical skills and I forgot about this even when I have been doing that for years. So suddenly it's like I know that when you have a passion, when you have a business and a purpose, you are focused so much in the technical skill that you forget about the other part.
Yeah.
And that's why creating systems and finding somebody that can help you to see the thing that you don't see, or look at the ask you the question that you don't know are important.
So the other piece building on that is that the systems that once you understand the value of systems in your business, you can take that same concept and apply it to your personal life, because life is just made up of systems, and either they're effective or they're ineffective.
Yeah.
Like I think about when you're trying to get a young person off, your child off to school in the morning. Now that everybody's going, hopefully, back to school and we're not still doing it virtually, there's all kinds of procedures and processes that you put into place to make sure that child is dressed, has eaten, and ready to get out the door on time.
Mm,
That's a system.
mm,
And you can look at your personal life and find those areas that are causing, let's just say, chaos or rub, where that is causing the distress, and look at it and say, what's not working with the system? Or is there a system? Is it functioning or not functioning?
mm,
And take steps to just make minor changes. Because whatever minor changes you can make to cause more calm can reduce your stress and can eventually save you time.
mm.
It works the same in both business and life.
Yes, no, I agree. So thank you, Judy. This was amazing. Everybody that is connecting with us, if you need help creating systems, you need help understanding how to do it, you can connect with Judy. If you don't have her, you can contact me and I will share her details. So don't worry about it. But we are here to help you. And also, just to let you know, next week I will have a Lead Generation Mastery Challenge. That challenge is about creating systems around prospecting, so that it's really important. And if you want to join us, you are more than welcome. This is, let me show the link for that. Oh, this is the link, bit.ly/lead0523. Or you can even contact Judy or myself, and we are more than welcome to help you. Judy,
There's
anything else? How they can connect with you?
Well, if they're interested in learning more about systems and strategy, I'm launching a Strategy Plus Systems Equals Success series on LinkedIn. And the first session is June 28th. And you can find out more information by just going to my profile on LinkedIn, Judy Whalen, or Center for Strategic Change on LinkedIn. You'll find more information there. And beyond that, I just want to say again, Alejandro, thank you for the opportunity to begin to explore this whole system of systems. It's a lot of information. A lot of it can be theoretical, but I urge your listeners, just take it and make it practical. Take what you need and make it practical. Implement it and just keep refining. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Judy, and thank you, Laurentino. It was great to see all your insights, and everybody that is listening to here right now or in the future. Thank you for being with us.